wish to thank the AP Tourism Department and Mr. Lakshmi Narayan to have given us this opportunity to briefly give us some viewpoints what we have from the hospitality industry. I basically wanted to just reinforce some of the points which are already there in the policy and have been discussed also by the Secretary Tourism, Mr. Meena. Just as a word of what we feel in the tourism policies, that what we've seen in the last 3-4 years at with the various states, just wanted to put them for a special notice. While we do appreciate that AP Tourism, after the bifurcation, was very proactive and came up with the policy very quickly. The policy basically from one state to another typically has few subsidies, and the cost of land is one of the largest cost what we have today in the hospitality sector, and I think which is a very important factor, besides the fact that subsidies are important at the virgin destinations where unless there are certain incentives for an entrepreneur to go there, that he would invest at those places. I feel two more important factors which are more important in the implementation of the policy and the investments, and once the projects are grounded, and those are the licensing process. We are still talking about 60 licenses, although we might have a single window cell, but yes, the number of licenses which are there are too many, which can't be helped, because tourism is still a concurrent subject where there are certain issues with the central government and there are certain points which are there with the state government. The second is ease to do business. We find that where tourism department has probably worked out a very nice policy, but then there is a collaboration required from many departments, and we do realize that we do have properties in Telangana and we have properties in Andhra, and we worked with the Honorable CM earlier, and we know that he's a very proactive and a visionary person. So at his level, once the collaboration is there, certain things would definitely move much better, because it is not just about building the hotels, but it's also bringing visitors there. The visitation has to increase. How do we increase the length of stay of those guests there? And some of the points which I want to reiterate here, which have been discussed earlier also: flights, connectivity, the roads, signages, and the wayside facilities. I coincidentally was there at the FHRAI in Bangalore, and I drove down from Hyderabad. So on the way back, I came back via Mantralayam. And while I've been here in Hyderabad for about 13 odd years as a hospitality professional, but I went to Mantralayam for the first time. And I realized what it's a 356-year-old temple. It's an asset, and like many other assets what we have in Andhra Pradesh, the roads were not really in good condition. It was the monsoon time. The signages on the highway were not there to, so while today Google is a great help, you want to drive down from Bangalore to look for something, but then sometimes, you lose a little direction. The signages do help. And then disaster management plans are very important. We know what is happening because of the rains in Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, what is there. So I think that's going to be another aspect which needs to be built in for the next 10 years and 20 years. And Mr. Subarao did mention about, what we need to be doing has to be scalable to the next 10 years and 20 years and so on, because that's how the plans will work. And while we spoke about certain promotions, food, the festivals and fairs, what we are having, probably a calendar for the next 2 years, because marketing is being done in the international market. Having worked in Golden Triangle, we know that Golden Triangle for 1920 or perhaps 1819 is being sold at the ITB and the WTM and so on. So probably we need to have at least some kind of calendar for 1819, October to 19. And then Minerva Group, which I represent, we have 4 units in Andhra also. And so if there are once this is in place, the investors forums like this, what we're doing, and the road shows to promote, should have a calendar for the next 6 months to 1 year. And my request or a submission is that 3 important events which are there. One is the national conventions of the Travel Agents Association of India, TAI, IATO, and the Hospitality Association body, which is the FHRAI. If they are also built into the representation which are done, probably, we'll be able to showcase a little better to the trade and industry also. Now, a couple of, just one final point I would like to add. Skill development is another aspect where we need to work. Once we are growing, we need to have skilled manpower. So that is one important emphasis. In the tourism policy, I think all segments of businesses have been emphasized, but then broadly we see 3 segments. That is the corporates or the business travelers, and then we have the FITs, who are the leisure travelers for pilgrimage or getaway travel, and then we have the MICE. So if there is a focused attention to how we get little more visitors and how we increase the length of stay for these people. Some of the audio guides at some of these monuments what we have, or places what we have, using technology to how in the skill development, having the trained guides by the Department of Tourism is a challenge what we see all over the country. Audio guides could be one solution. Just a small request from the state government to probably be working with center on some of those ease to do business issues what we are having. While we know regulations are going to be important, but then we see a little more, suddenly in the last few months, we find that there is a little more excess regulations what we see. While the excise policy in Andhra Pradesh is definitely the new one which has been made. It's a really a legendary policy. I think some of the other states need to see how we've gone from a conventional way of looking at a policy into an extremely different policy. Hats off to the government, I think. GST, well, lots of forums have discussed it. Just one quick point, and maybe some specific project developers who might have done some hospitality project might give some